Hello and welcome back to the Claire Newberry studio. In this video recording, I'm going to show you how to mark out your card for a 3-colour Fair Isle. Okay, so it's like a 3-colour jacquard, but we're just using the single bed fabric. Okay, so we've got floats on the back. Okay, but we've got 3 colours in a row. So we've got red, blue and green here in this kind of little diamond pattern. Okay, so that's the fabric that we're going to make eventually. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. So the graph for that, just take you down a little bit closer, ignore this bit at the bottom. I'm reusing the the special graph paper, the stitch related graph paper. And what I've done is I've drawn on my design. I'll just bring it up a little bit closer. Okay, and I've done 2 rows because we're going to do 2 rows of our punch card. Okay, so for each area of the punch card, we're going to be knitting 2 rows. We're going to have it on the elongating button on the knitting machine. Okay, so I've drawn out 2 spots of red there, 2 blue, 2 green, 2 red, 2 green, and so on all the way along. Okay, so I've doubled everything up. Okay, and I've made like a symmetrical pattern, so it makes it kind of a little bit easier to read. And you could even do a more simplified version if you wanted to, just like a 3-colour square or something like that in the 24 stitch pattern repeat. Okay, but I've got 2 little diamonds here. That's my 24 stitch pattern repeat here. Okay, and what I've done is drawn out a little bit of the top. That's where I've made a mistake there, so just ignore that. But that is the bottom line of our pattern, is the bottom line where that black line is there. Okay, so I've used coloured pencils. So I've got a red, green and a blue. Okay, and I have to separate each colour out because each colour has 2 rows of the pattern. Okay, so 2 rows of the red, and then I go in with 2 rows of green and then 2 rows of 2 rows of blue and then 2 rows of green. Okay, so to mark out the card, what I do is I mark it off in 3s. Okay, so I've got 1 2 3 1 2 3, 1 row for each of the colours. Okay, and our first row, if I look at the first row of my pattern, I've got red for 1 square, so I colour off a red square. Okay, then I have 1 2 3 4, and then I have another, the 5th one is red. Okay, so I start the pattern. Let's move it down a little bit. So I've got 1 1 2 3 4, and the 5th one there, okay, is coloured in red there. And then I have 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, and then I have a red, okay, then a green, which is blank at the moment, and then another red. Okay, so it's just the reds that I'm picking up. So wherever I've got a red square coloured in, that's what I colour in. Okay, each of the red ones. Okay, and that's all I do for that line 1. Okay, is red. Okay, the next one is blue. Okay, so I look at whatever is blue on my first row there. Okay, so I've got 1 2 blue, so I put 1 2 blue. The first one was red, the next 2 are blue. Okay, and then I've got 1 2 3 4 5, and then 2 more blues. So 1 2 3 4 5, and then 2 more blues. Okay, 1 2 3 gap, 1 2 3 gap, 2 more blues, 2 more blues here. 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and then I've got 2 more blue. So I've coloured in 2 more blue there. Okay, and then I've got 2 at the end there. Okay, which are clear. Okay, so that's the blue. And then the green. Okay, so I've got 2 green, so I've got 1 2 3 blank, and then 2 green, 1 blank, 2 green. Okay, so 1 2 3 green. Let's move it down a little bit so you can see. So 1 2 3 green, then there's a red, so you leave that blank, and then there's 2 more green. Okay, so 2 green, and then 1, 2, 3, and then there's a green, 1, 2, 3, and then there's a green. Okay, and you carry on like that. So you have to look at each colour as a separate entity on the pattern. Okay, now that is fundamentally different to what you're doing with a 2-colour jacquard. Okay, because that's just binary. One's one colour and one is the other colour. Okay, now it gets a little bit more complicated because we're each 2 rows is going to be split up into different colours. Okay, so I draw a line when I've checked it, and there's a little tip to check it as well. Okay, is I check that each row of 3 there, okay, has got a colour allocated to it, either a red or blue or a green. Okay, so red is covered, blue is covered, green is covered, red is covered, green is covered, yeah, blue, and so on. So there's no white squares not filled in my 3-row section. Okay, when I'm happy with that and I've checked that off, I draw a black line. Okay, so I've got a line like a black permanent marker. Okay, and then I go on to the next row. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3 red. Okay, so I'm looking at my pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 red. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one is red. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one is red. Okay, and so on. And I do that all the way along. I do it with the blue. Always keep it in sequence. So it's going to be red, blue, green, red, blue, green, red, blue, green, and so on. So each row is allocated a colour. Okay, and I proceed on the whole of the pattern. Okay, and again I check it off. Okay, so this row of 3 here, I've got no white gap. So I go up, a colour is allocated to each of those squares. Each colour has got an allocation. Okay, and there's no white squares that haven't been filled in. Okay, within the 3. Okay, and I carry on up the piece. So I separate out each colour and each line. Okay, and then we've got 3 rows in here, but we're actually going to be using the double length tool on the knitting machine. So that's that grey lever with the L, so the elongating button. So we're going to go 2 of red, 2 of blue, 2 of green. So then it will match up 2 of red, 2 of blue, and 2 of green. Okay, so that's how we mark the card out. Okay, and take a little bit of time to get that right. Okay, and then what I do is I come to my card, and I'll just move that out the way just so you can see through it. Okay, whoops. Okay, so the card, obviously, this is one that's already been, this is a blank one that's already been printed out. Okay, so we've got the 2 rows that are just for the overlap. Okay, and then I can check off my pattern next to my chart. Okay, that I've made here. So red is my first row, and I've split this off again into 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So that corresponds to the 1, 2, 3 that I've got here in the black line. So I've just drawn a few out here. So 1, 2, 3 black line, 1, 2, 3 black line, 1, 2, 3 black line, and I've done that actually all the way up. You can't see it because I'm on in pencil. Okay, but I've just done some in black there to show. Okay, so then I would come in with my first colour, which is the red. Okay, and mark off on my card. So the first one is red. Okay, and then I've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's another red. So I've marked that off there, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, another red, then there's a gap, then there's another red. So red, a gap, and then another red. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, red. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, red, and then there's the last one at the end there, which will eventually be green. Okay, so the next colour is our blue. Okay, and you can write and you can colour coordinate your rows as well. So you can mark off in red for your red row, mark off green, blue with the blue colour, and then finally green as your third colour. Okay, and then you can check off again, just like we've done on the graph. Each area should at least have a hole in it. Each one of the green, the 3 areas It might be green, it might be blue, it might be red, okay, but each one should be allocated. There shouldn't be any blank 3 squares vertical in without being punched out, okay, so everything is been allocated, okay. If you make a mistake, I've just gone over with some like a sellotape here, like white sticky sort of like electrical wire. I think that you put it around electrical wire. It's like electrical tape. Okay, so I have made a mistake there. So if you do make a mistake, you can just cover it over with some sellotape. Okay, and then you can also put a little bit on the back as well. So I double it up so the mistake is completely covered. Okay, so that's our first row. Okay, and what I do is wouldn't punch it out yet. I would just double check it, and then when you're kind of got fresh eyes on it, then you can go and punch it out. Okay, and then the second row I do exactly the same as what our second row is here. So that is basically that translated onto here. Okay, draw the areas that you want in each particular colour, and you would proceed up the whole of the piece, so it doesn't look anything like what the final pattern is going to look like. Okay, but I can assure you that that is that. Okay, because I have double checked it and we have proved it by knitting the 3 colour diamonds there. Okay, so hopefully it's knitted exactly the same. Okay, so when you've got all of that in, and I've joined another card together, so it may be that you do join another piece of card together if your card isn't long enough, okay, because it will draw out. Okay, so this is our design here. So we've got 30 rows of our pattern, but we've got considerably more than 30 rows of the actual card itself. Okay, so it does stretch everything out. Okay, so that's the card done. Okay, and then that will be a continuous loop in the machine. Okay, and we set up just like before. Okay, and that is where I finish here showing you that, and then the next video will be showing you actually how to knit the fabric, how to set up the fabric or set up the yarn for the fabric. Okay, all right, so that is our 3 colour jacquard. Bye for now.